the past 48 hours, ASUS issued 3 completely contradictory statements about whether the RTX 5070 Ti is going to be discontinued. First, they said yes. Then they said we're streamlining. Then they walked it all back. And the truth is somehow worse than a simple yes or no answer. But let me explain what's actually happening. So this all started when Hardware Unboxed requested RTX 5070 Ti review samples from ASUS and other board partners. ASUS PR explicitly told them the cards were facing supply shortages and had been placed into end-of-life status, meaning ASUS had no plans to produce any more 5070 Ti models. Now, Hardware Unboxed didn't just take their word for it. They contacted Australian retailers who confirmed they couldn't source RTX 5070 Ti cards from any distribution partners, and the prices backed this up. These cards jumped from $730 in November to over $830 now, and in Australia, $1,200 to $1,400. The RTX 5060 Ti 60 gig version actually followed the same pattern, climbing from $400 to over $500. The same day, ASUS also confirmed that the RTX 5060 Ti 16 gig was effectively discontinued too. Both cards use 16 gigs of RAM, and with the memory supply constrained, NVIDIA was reportedly prioritizing that memory for higher margin RTX 5080s instead. Then things got messy. NVIDIA issued a statement saying, "We continue to ship all GeForce SKUs." Notice the wording. They didn't say how much they're shipping. Technically, shipping 10 units still makes this statement true. ASUS then released their first clarification saying NVIDIA told them the RTX 5070 Ti wasn't end of life and that ASUS was just streamlining some models. So maybe they were discontinuing specific versions like the ROG or TUF gaming models, but that didn't explain why no retailers could source any 5070 Ti from like any manufacturer. So Hardware Unboxed published an update with this context, saying then ASUS issued a second statement, this time completely walking back their original claim. They said certain media may have received incomplete information from their PR rep, and these cards are not discontinued or end of life. So they blamed memory supply constraints affecting production and restocking, but insisted these shouldn't be interpreted as production halts. Okay, so what's the truth? It appears to be fairly complicated, but here's what we can confirm as fact, because I just keep seeing all these rumors going around all over the place. 1, memory supply, as we all know, is genuinely constrained. Production is limited, and AI data centers are consuming massive amounts. We know that. 2, retailers cannot source these cards. This has been verified across multiple different regions. 3, prices have increased 15 to 25% due to scarcity. This is observable in real time. 4, NVIDIA has implemented allocation changes, prioritizing certain models over others. What we're seeing is what we might be able to call a soft discontinuation. Technically, these cards aren't discontinued. NVIDIA and ASUS can truthfully say they have no plans to formally end them. But practically, if allocation has been cut to near zero, if manufacturers aren't really producing new units and retailers can't get stock, then the distinction between not discontinued and effectively unavailable is meaningless. As Hardware Unboxed said perfectly, the practicality supersedes the technicality. And here's the kicker. ASUS's PR rep probably did tell them the truth as understood internally. End of life is what manufacturers call they're no longer producing. But when it went public, official statements had to walk it back to the technically correct corporate position. But There's even a bigger story here. Reports from CES 2026 suggest the RTX 50 Super Series, which was supposed to launch Q1 this year, has been postponed indefinitely, which is usually corporate speak for canceled. Hardware Unboxed also learned at CES that board partners were reportedly frustrated because NVIDIA had originally indicated the Super launch would happen at the show. The Super Series was supposed to increase VRAM 18 gigs for the 5070 Super, 24 for the 5070 Ti, and 5080 Super. But with memory prices skyrocketing and supply constrained for years, not months, NVIDIA appears to be obviously prioritizing AI data center GPUs that generate far higher profit margins. So why make a $750 gaming GPU when you can use those resources for a $30,000 AI accelerator? And here's the uncomfortable reality. With no new AMD GPUs expected in 2026, NVIDIA has zero competitive pressure. They can delay the Super Series indefinitely because there's nothing forcing them to improve their current lineup. So, if you're trying to buy a GPU right now, ultimately, I think the proof will be in the supply over the next coming weeks. Hardware Unboxed requested the review samples again after ASUS's final statement, and whether they actually receive them, I think will tell us more than any press release. Either these cards will show up in stock at some form of a reasonable price, or they won't, and that will be our answer. But are you considering buying a new GPU? I am personally very grateful that I upgraded mine over the summer. Not the top of the line, but it's pretty damn good. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and peace out. Bye.